Okay, so I just wanted to record our conversation the first little bit today, just so that folks, because I know a couple folks are out today, and today is super, super important for lab report stuff, okay? All right, so today we are going to work on our lab report, and the lab report is due Monday at the beginning of class, okay? The due date with lab report basically means if you are not getting the lab report in on time, you are not going to have a revision for the lab report. And if you look at the schedule, if you look at the schedule for next week, do we see how next Friday we are going over the lab report rubric? Okay, like another lab report rubric. So if we're not getting this lab report finished on time, the lab reports are going to start overlapping. Okay, so we really want to make sure that we are trying to submit things on time this week. Okay, so just to check, the length of your pendulum increases, the period of your pendulum should also increase. So if you're looking at your data and you do not see this is an issue, okay? So please just make sure that you are seeing this relationship within your data. All right, so were there any questions about the lab report rubric since yesterday? So really the lab report that you are writing is going to be introduction, methods, and then your data table and your graph. And that's it, okay? So this is going to be assessed on two different performance indicators. SP3, which is planning and carrying out the investigation. Okay, so SP3 is going to be those first two sections. And then SP4A, which is graphing, that's going to be your data table and your graph, okay? And the way to look at it, so here are our check boxes. In order to get a 2, you have to get 60% of the check boxes. Okay, so I just want us to make sure that we are looking over this thoughtfully. Questions. We also are going to have today to work. So if there are additional questions that are kind of coming up as we're working, that's also fine. Okay, so on Classroom, I posted this in addition to the lab report assignment. So it's literally just it's embedded within that assignment, this document. Ms. Reiser actually went ahead and wrote a fake lab report, and I want us to grade this lab report, okay? Okay, so first of all, she wrote her name, Ms. Reiser, and then physics. And actually, I think this is supposed to be from the point of view of a student who has Ms. Beamsterboard, because it mentions Ms. Beamsterboard in here. So, Ms. Reiser, physics. I conducted my experiment because I wanted to find the period of the pendulum. Okay, so that's the student's purpose or explanation of that. First, I tied my string to my ring stand. Then I tied the string to my bobbin, which was a golf ball. Then I let the bobbin swing and recorded how many swings it made in 10 seconds. I did this for 3 different lengths. My dependent variable was length, my independent variable was period. Okay? And then below, methods and data. First, I gathered my materials. They are 1, a ring stand, 2, yarn, 3, a golf ball, 4, a timer, 5, a ruler. Then I set up my apparatus as mentioned above, I changed my dependent variable by shortening the string. I measured it in inches. I did this for 3 different lengths because Miss Beamsterboer said to do 3 trials. I controlled the mass of the golf ball. In future, I would not use a golf ball because it was hard to tie a string to it. Okay, so this is their entire lab report. What are some problems that we see? Yes, Erin. So the first I gathered my materials. This is actually something that within the rubric we specifically tell you not to do. It's just generally kind of like, it's just not needed. Yeah. Madison, yeah. No, so they don't have any data shown. We can kind of assume maybe that's like on another page and this is just the written portion. But yeah, no, the data is completely missing. We don't have a data table. We don't have a graph. I would say that this portion, so this is the introduction and then like the method. So I would say that this is the SP3 portion of the lab report. Okay, so then in the chat, Selena's saying they didn't give a valid reason why they did 3 trials. Yeah, no, they didn't. They did not explain that at all. So on Classroom, this document is posted. Unfortunately, because you all don't have editing rights, you cannot see comments of the document. So I went ahead and created a separate document with screenshots of all the comments so you can see them. But yeah, it's going to be kind of goofy to go through that part. But I just wanted to run through each of these. I'm going to try to zoom in so you can see both the comment and this part. Okay, so this first part, not all info is present. So again, like the student did not write their name. Please put your name on your paper. I know this is silly, but like you would be surprised how many people turn their stuff in with no name. The second one. Oh yeah. There's also no heading and no subtitle heading, okay? This shouldn't be an issue for you all on this lab report because I created a document and gave you all the sections on it. But in future, because that is something that is specifically assessed on within a performance indicator, I wouldn't provide that for you. So yeah, you need to make sure that you have subtitles. Okay, so this next one. This first sentence. I conducted my experiment because I wanted to find the period of the pendulum. That is not a purpose. That's just like what you're doing. That's not explaining why you're doing it, and it's not explaining how you're actually changing your variables like to test what you're doing. The actual like purpose is you're trying to see if how you changed your independent variable will impact the measurement of the period, right? Okay, the very next sentence. Whoops. So this whole part here where it's talking about I tied my string to my ring stand, I tied the string to my bobbin, which was a golf ball, blah, blah, blah. That's way too much information for this section, okay? So this information is good, but it needs to be placed within the method section. For the introduction, you really just want like a 1-sentence explanation of what you're doing, okay? So think about if someone was to walk in on you doing this, what would you say? Like what 1-sentence thing would you say to them to just kind of end the conversation? Like you're not giving them much detail, you're just kind of saying, I'm doing this and I'm busy, right? Okay, and then this finally, dependent variable was length and independent variable is period. That's incorrect, okay? Also, there are no new terms defined, okay? That's also something within the rubric that you have to do. And then for the first I gathered my materials, I love this comment. Nope. Yeah, because no, you don't need to say that. And again, specifically in the rubric, it says not to. For this list, make sure that as you are listing the things that you used within your lab, you are using descriptive sentences, not lists. Okay, so a list is not going to get you that point. Okay, so then I set up my apparatus as mentioned above. So the detail, again, has to be in this specific section, okay? If you feel like you're having a hard time describing what actually happened within your apparatus, you can set back up your apparatus, take a picture of it, and then describe the picture, okay? Like you have to have some sort of a description, but a diagram can be really helpful there. Okay, so this sentence, I changed my dependent variable by shortening the string. That's not enough detail, okay? You need to explain, how did you shorten the string? Did you shorten it by a specific amount? Did you shorten it in kind of a random way? But how did you what did you physically do to the string to shorten it? And the way you want to think about this is, if someone is trying to replicate what you did, what would you need to explain to them so they could step by step replicate what you did, okay? And also, how was it measured? Like how did you do all that? Okay. This next one, use the metric system. Okay, so if you put your measurements in inches, 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. Just do the conversion, okay? So to convert from inches to centimeters, multiply by 2.54, okay? Just so that everyone knows that. Okay, and then this next one. I did this for 3 different lengths because Ms. Beamsterboer said to do 3 trials. I get this a lot, that people assign the causation or the purpose of something within the lab to their teacher rather than for the underlying reason why we have you do that, okay? You're not going to get points for just saying, I did it because I was told to do it. Like, why were you told to do it, okay? So I think that this specific comment here is really good, okay? The lengths, well, first of all, the lengths are not the trials. The lengths are the data points. And then there should be at least 7 data points, and each data point has 3 trials. We're using this many to make sure that we have enough data to accurately assess whether there is a trend and what that trend specifically is, okay? So you have to talk through that. As much as it may seem like, oh, this is something that, like, duh, that's why we did it. I don't know that you know that, okay? So the whole purpose of doing this is for you to validate to me that you understand the process of why we did this lab. And then finally, this, in the future, I would not use a golf ball because it's hard to tie the string to it. Okay, that is a really good, that's a really good error to point out, okay? But also you can go into more detail there. So what else did you control? How did you control those things? Okay, so how did you make sure that you were dropping at the same angle each time? How did you make sure that the bob's mass was the same each time? Were there any challenges to controlling the variables? Like, why was it that the golf ball was hard to deal with? And how did you fix that? Right? Like, you used the golf ball, you said it was hard, but like, what? Like, tell me more about that. Okay? Okay, so any questions? I know that was a lot. someone was asking last class what score this would get. This would definitely get a 1 for SP3. Okay, so the rest of the class today is just work time. If you have any questions, please let me know. Put them in the chat. One thing I will say, just because I have 2 classes of kids and you all have this lab report due Monday morning, or Monday morning at 11:36 a.m. I'm not going to pre-grade people's labs. So a lot of times I have people forward me their entire lab and they say, can you check this? Or is everything okay? Or what do you think this would score? What do I need to fix? Something like that. If you have a specific question about a specific bullet point, we can talk about that. But I'm not going to pre-grade anything, just so that we are all clear on that. And that's something I just kind of say across the board, just because there's not enough time in the day to provide that feedback for everyone. Okay, do we have questions? Okay, so we're going to turn the lab report in 2 different places. We're going to turn it in on Google Classroom and turnitin.com. My real big hint with this is follow the checkboxes in the rubric. It makes it a lot less intimidating. Okay.